Kristi Noem. I'm the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and it's wonderful to be with all of you today and give you an update of not just what the work that President Trump is conducting across the country to make families and their communities safer, but also what this office in particular has focused on, the results that they have delivered, but then also what the state of Florida and the partnerships that they have brought to the federal government as far as incarcerating criminal illegal aliens and bringing them to justice. Today marks 9 months since President Trump has been in office and since he began his work to restore American safety for our families that live here. What he has accomplished for the American people is nothing short of extraordinary. We appreciate what he has done to make us safe again, to secure our borders, and to make sure that he's protecting our people. Since January, the Department of Homeland Security has arrested over 480,000 criminal illegal aliens. 70% of those individuals have criminal charges against them or have been convicted of those criminal charges. Across the country, we're making communities safer so that families can thrive and they can prosper and they can enjoy the kind of freedom that this country was established to provide. Unfortunately, many times we see the news distorting the truth and not bringing the real facts of the stories to the American people, and that is one of the reasons why we're here today, is to make sure that we're focused on what this office has done, our HSI officers, our ICE officers, the criminals that they've taken off the streets here in this city and also this state, and what we can do to get many of these items, like you see on the table in front of me, out of our communities. You see in front of us illegal rifles, handguns. You see drugs that have been taken off of our streets that are saving the lives of Americans every single day. I want to speak directly to the American people today and remind them and recall the fact that we are focused on the worst of the worst, bringing these individuals to justice. We're not going to let individuals terrorize our streets anymore, and we're not going to let them make victims out of families that live in this country. I'll give you some examples of individuals that were brought to justice here in Sarasota and in this area. The first one I'll talk about is a convicted murderer whose name is Eric Carlos Artiles Ramos, an illegal alien who was from Cuba. He had a prior removal order in 2008, and now because of the work of this office, he is off the streets. He was also previously convicted of kidnapping and carjacking. We also have another individual, Oscar Alfredo Retena Marroquin, an illegal alien from El Salvador. He was convicted of sexual assault against a child and in 1995, and he was also arrested for DUI. He has been deported twice before, in 1999 and in 2019. Reentry after deportation, I'll remind all of you, is a felony. The next individual is Arturo Sanchez Morales. He's an illegal alien from Mexico. He was arrested for driving drunk, and he's already been deported once before. He re-entered, which is a felony, and was issued a final order of removal in 2016. He had previously been arrested for burglary as well, for possession of cocaine and larceny, and has convictions for multiple DUIs and lewd acts against a minor. And again, I'll talk about Leilis Ronaldo Benaro Zarin, who is an individual from Honduras who's been in this country illegally, and he has a conviction for domestic battery. He'd been deported twice before, in 2011 and in 2017. These individuals are just a handful of people that have been in this country creating victims out of American citizens that now those families do no longer have to worry about. Not only have they been brought into and incarcerated, but they're going to be brought to justice and pay for the crimes that they've committed. Every single day, our law enforcement officers put their lives at risk to protect the American people. Every single day, they get up and they go do their jobs to make sure that American families can live the lives that they've dreamed of since they were young. The left's anti-cop rhetoric has led to a 1,000% increase in violence against our law enforcement officers. We have to stop the rhetoric that is allowing individuals the cover that they want to perpetuate violence against those who enforce our laws. Last month, we had an individual open fire at an ICE facility, and we also saw victims from that attack that happened, not just against ICE agents, but also about detainees that were there at that facility. That individual, when he fired upon the building, created some victims. We lost 2 lives there. 3 individuals were hurt. and 2 died later on after that event. The suspect had anti-ice written on the ammunition and on his bullet casings, proving that he had targeted against individuals that were working to keep our streets safe. Criminals are now even placing bounties on our law enforcement officers. This last month, the Department of Homeland Security arrested a criminal illegal alien and a Latin Kings gang member who placed a bounty on our U.S. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bavino. Still, they keep pressing on, and we've seen as well individuals on TikTok and other apps making threats against our law enforcement officers, putting bounties out on their head, and we will bring all of those individuals to justice. We will continue to bring murderers and rapists, those who perpetuate violence, pedophiles, gang members in our communities. We will go after them, bring them to justice, and we will save lives. The American people see this, and they see that President Trump is focused on making sure that our streets are safe and that our families have opportunities to raise their children in safe communities. In fact, recent polls have shown that 54% of Americans want illegals to be brought into justice, and they want to deport those who are in this country illegally. But 78% of Americans want these criminal illegal aliens brought to justice. That's because the American people understand the benefits of having law and order again. They understand the benefit of having a leader that focuses on making sure that we are a nation of borders, but we're a nation of laws, and those laws are enforced. To the brave men and women of ICE and HSI and the law enforcement that are partnering with us, thank you. Thank you for all that you do to protect our country. Thank you for risking your lives for the American people and being willing to go out and stand for what is right, stand for law and order, and the American people are extremely grateful for that. To everyone else out there, I would ask you to please thank a law enforcement officer if you see them today. Cook them a meal for their family, support them, give them a word of encouragement. It's been 9 months since President Trump has been in office, and he's made an incredible difference for the American people. Let's make sure that those individuals who go out every single day and keep our streets safe, that they get the opportunity to be thanked for that as well. And with that, I will open it up for any questions that you may have. Yes.
Thank you so much for coming. I understand that ICE is working with local law enforcement agencies, including Florida Highway Patrol, to carry out much of its enforcement, and that a lot of, at least here in Florida, a lot of the arrests are being made through picking up these folks for traffic infractions, for example, holding them in jail. Can you talk about that partnership and how information is communicated between local law enforcement and ICE?
Well, it's been fantastic to see the partnerships that we've had here in Florida, in this community, but also throughout the entire state. We have a program called 287G, which allows local law enforcement agencies to partner with us on enforcement activities. And that has been very beneficial to making sure that we're out there working together, cooperative, bringing people to justice, and then making those law enforcement officers involved in helping keep their communities safe as well. And we're grateful for that. Florida has been, I think, the state that has provided the most law enforcement agreements under the 287G than any other state, and it shows that they recognize the importance of bringing individuals to justice that have convicted crimes against the people that live in their communities, but also ways that we can support our federal government in the work that we do as well, as far as enforcing our immigration laws, but also making sure that these dangerous terrorists and criminals and gang members are brought to justice and removed out of our country. Yes.
Why do you feel it's necessary to come all the way to Sarasota, Florida, to make these announcements today? Considering this is just 4 of many arrests going on nationwide, and why specifically Sarasota versus going to Chicago or Portland?
Well, I've been to Chicago and I've been to Portland and focused on supporting those law enforcement officers and operations there. I'm in Sarasota today because people don't get to hear the media cover these individuals that have been removed off of the streets, the good work that law enforcement officers have already done. Many times when I turn on the news and listen to the networks, they're not covering the victims anymore that we've lost because of these crimes. They're not covering the individuals that have been brought to justice. Instead, they're trying to demonize our law enforcement officers. So to talk about these individuals that have been taken off the streets and show how much safer the American people are, we can show that that work can continue. These individuals that I spoke about today are not on the streets creating more victims. There's still individuals out there, though, that we need to bring to justice. And this is a reminder of the work that we do, but that we need to continue that work and let these law enforcement officers know that they're appreciated.
To maximize your investment in the time to come to Florida, you can meet with, say, the sheriffs here who signed up with the program you just mentioned. Also, we're not very far from Alligator Alcatraz or Deportation Depot. Are you going to be possibly visiting?
I have been to Alligator Alcatraz. I have visited it. I have not seen Deportation Depot yet, but we're grateful for those partnerships with the state of Florida. That has helped us with detainment centers that will allow us to host these individuals until their due process is finished and they can be removed from our country. So we're grateful for that. In fact, Alligator Alcatraz was the first project that we had with the state as far as putting together these beds, and we've had several other states now that have shared these agreements with us as well. So in Indiana, Nebraska, other states that have partnered, and will continue to do that because it's more efficient for the taxpayers, but it also meets the needs that we have for bed space until individuals can be removed.
While on the subject of travel, you've received some criticism about the recent purchase of two business jets made by Gulfstream to the tune of $200 million. Going to the Coast Guard, which is one of your departments. It was stated by the two representatives about this, about their questioning about this. They said that your frequent appearances at ongoing operations, which required the diversion of resources to focus on your security, appears to be unjustified. What is your comment to that?
These aircraft are Coast Guard aircraft to replace 25-year-old airplanes that are necessary for the mission of the Coast Guard. Congress appropriated the dollars and paid for them in the big, beautiful bill, and we're grateful that we're able to move forward and make sure that Force Design 2028 for the Coast Guard is mission fulfilled and they can continue to serve our country, not just in a search and rescue mission, but also cooperating with our Department of War. And they're helping us in incredible ways with drug interdiction and bringing these cartels to justice as well. Yes.
We see working families afraid to go out without documents. What message do you have for them?
You're saying that working families are afraid to go out? I think they should be in this country legally. They have no fear whatsoever if they're in this country abiding by our laws. And that is the wonderful thing about America. Everybody is treated equally, and we don't pick and choose who the law applies to and who it doesn't. So individuals have the opportunity every day, if they're here illegally, to go home. Go home to your country and come the right way. If they wait until we detain them and we have to remove them ourselves, they'll never get the chance to come back to America.
You had mentioned, the fact that the media is not talking enough about some of the dangerous folks that you guys are catching and removing from the country. Do you think that might have something to do with the tactics, the masked ICE agents dragging people out of cars and off the street or coming out of their immigration hearings? We've seen images of families, children are crying. It's just sort of shocking in this country, never having seen that type of thing.
No, I think that our law enforcement officers are doing everything appropriately and correct to make sure people are brought to justice. And that's the opportunity that we've given individuals from day one, was that if they're in this country illegally, that they can come to us, we will pay them to leave this country $1,000 and buy them a plane ticket to leave. People get to keep their children with them. If they've committed a crime against individuals in this country, they will be brought to justice. They will be prosecuted for those crimes. We've been very clear about that, and I'm grateful for our law enforcement officers that in the face of danger are out there every day still doing their job and doing what they can to make sure that they are safe, that they are doing it appropriately, and that they get to go home to their kids and their family members too. I think most people look around a room full of law enforcement officers, and sometimes the media doesn't tell the story that they all have families too. and that they deserve to go home that night and tuck their kids into bed and to be able to get up and support their family and pay their bills as well. That's what today is, 9 months of law enforcement officers finally getting to do their job again, finally getting to do what they took an oath to do, and that's uphold the law and be fair and just in how they do that. And I'm so proud of the work that they've done.
So what happens to these 4 individuals? Are they going to be deported immediately?
They will be prosecuted for their crimes first in this country and serve their convictions if they're convicted, which many of them have long histories of criminal activity, and then they will be deported to their home countries.
Not to a third country.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on how that arrangement is negotiated. If you remember, we work with the Department of State on every single individual, on how we organize those travel documents, how we work with countries, and how they take their citizens back home.
How's your recruitment effort going to hire 10,000 new agents?
Yeah, we had over 175,000 applicants for our 10,000 new ICE agents. We have many of them that are already out on the job. They've completed their training. We also have huge recruitment for not just ICE agents and HSI, but our Secret Service law enforcement officers, our CBP officers. All of those recruitment efforts are through the roof because I think of the individuals that are excited about defending the homeland, protecting this country, and making sure that they have the ability to go out and to do a job that they can be proud of. Yes.
There's been a lot of conversation and talk about the alleged lack of transparency with regards to ICE releasing information about its operations. Can you speak to the transparency or lack thereof with regards to current operations to detain people here illegally?
I'm not certain about those accusations. We are conducting our law enforcement operations just how we always have been. Exactly how law enforcement does investigations, how we do operations. Many of those times, those operations need to be secure, but we have not changed our protocols in how we uphold the law and how we bring people to justice based on any kind of policy that's been put in place under this administration.
And so can you also talk about the communication between ICE and local law enforcement agents that
we would love to have local law enforcement across the country participating with us. Many times that's not true. Here in Sarasota, it's been fantastic. Here in Florida, it's been amazing. But you go into other communities and other states, and many times those governors are political. Those leaders in those towns. Portland's a great example of the mayor who chooses to play politics instead of keeping his citizens safe. Governor Pritzker in Illinois is putting his people in danger every day by going against us and not working with us to make sure that we're detaining individuals who have criminal charges against them or have been convicted and then re-releasing them out on the streets. We're starting to see better partnership out of some law enforcement officers who recognize that their citizens feel differently than their political leaders. Their citizens recognize that they want their streets safer. We saw that in Washington, D.C., that people that experience the freedom of being able to walk down a street, go to a restaurant again, be able to, conduct normal life and let their kids play in a playground, they enjoyed it, and they let their political leaders know that, and they've cooperated with us more. We continue to have targeted operations in many, many cities, but also very focused on those where challenges are still remaining, such as Portland, Chicago. We're in Memphis as well. We're going into San Francisco at the direction of the president as well. We're going to continue to make sure we're focused not just in those cities that we hear about on the news, but also cities like Sarasota, that we make sure that law enforcement officers in every single community get the chance to continue to get these criminals off of their streets.
Is it true, though, the majority of arrests or detentions that are happening are people who are either low-level crimes, like
Well, what would you call a low-level crime? I would say anybody who's been victimized by somebody who's committed a crime, it's significant to them. It's that's significant if they end up causing harm to someone. If they're not trained and don't have a license and they're on the street operating illegally, get into an accident, hurt someone, then that no longer is a low-level crime. We have laws, and we don't get to pick which ones matter and which ones don't. Every single one of our laws has been put in place for a reason, and therefore will be enforced. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for making sure that we're covering the good work that President Trump is doing and what he's doing to make sure that we're bringing people to justice for the crimes that they've committed. Right here in Sarasota, we've gotten murderers off the street, rapists, people who have committed crimes against children, and now today the people of Sarasota and in Florida and our country are safer because of it. May God bless each and every one of our law enforcement officers for the work that they do, and continue to go out and to thank them. Thank them for what they're doing in the light of political attacks and threats from individuals that have an agenda. Thank them for standing up for freedom and for making sure that America can continue to be a safe country, but also a country of many liberties and blessings. God bless you. Thank you, guys.